This is you, watching this very YouTube video while sitting at your computer. On the right hand side of this video are a series of suggestions, videos YouTube thinks you should watch based off videos you have watched in the past and this very video. This is the idea of personalization, or the use of guesses about a user to figure out what content the user would like to see. When done right, this can be a very effective tool to help users find something interesting content, as well as finding relevant information to them specifically. When done wrong, on the other hand, it can have dire consequences, such as creating filter bubbles. Filter bubbles are when you do not get outside information and are instead sectioned off into your comfort zone, generally with sources and ideas that you already know and agree with. Or, to put it in a more technical term, a unique universe that each of us has that is formed by a predictive engine constantly reevaluating a theory of who you are by looking at the things you seem to like and things you've done. Now, I will give a brief demonstration of a filter bubble in action. In order to better understand filter bubbles, I'm going to show you two examples that you yourself can do at home really easily. The first will be location-based filter bubbles. Now, the way I'm going to do this is I have a VPN, so I can change my IP address to make it look like I'm coming from a different country. This basically makes it so that Google thinks that I'm in a place that I'm not. Now, location-based searches can be very helpful. They can help you find local news or the showtime for movies near you. But it can also blind you to certain aspects, especially in countries where there's a little more control over what's on the internet. So, as you see on this first page here, I've searched politics for both the US and Australia, and this is the Australian page. You can see how they have .au URLs coming from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, for example. And they have talks about Brexit and Tasmania, specifically interests of Australian people. On top of that, we have more websites from .au or .australian addresses. Now, if I go to the link that I had loaded one in a US IP address, you'll see that we have the New York Times and NPR and Politico, but none of the Australian websites. And in fact, the news articles up top are also a lot more aligned with the US news interest rather than Australian news interests. Again, this can be very helpful, but it's important to know that this is still a type of filter bubble. This is a basic YouTube page without an account or any prior watch history. And I'm going to show you just how easy it is to get into a filter bubble. So, first off, I'm going to search a term like Minecraft, and I'm going to watch a few videos. I'll be right back once I have. So I have not been browsing for that long, just clicking on videos, not even watching them all the way. And as you can see, my page has changed. Instead of getting those topics that I was getting before, like NFL, I now have videos a lot more in line with what someone who would watch Minecraft would see. Now this makes sense. You want to see information that's relevant to you and that you would be more likely to watch, but it's when this gets out of hand that it can become dangerous. I believe that the only way to reduce the effects of filter bubbles currently is to reduce the amount of personalization, and that is up to the user. On websites such as Facebook, Twitter, and even Google and all of their services, you must reduce your own footprint, because currently there's no way for these companies to be neutral but also have personalized feeds. As we will find out later, humans are bad at seeking out opposing viewpoints, even if they know that they only get confirmation for what they believe in. Now that we understand filter bubbles a little better, let's talk about YouTube specifically. Within the last few weeks, a video was made by Matt's What It Is, outlining how, with just a few clicks on a fresh YouTube account, you could fill your recommendations with videos containing minors and sexually suggestive positions. Based on videos you had watched, YouTube had predicted that you would also like these videos, and once those are in your suggested feed, it is difficult to remove them. On top of that, the comment sections become echo chambers. Those who might not realize the gravity of their actions are actively encouraged and normalized because of the bubble they were placed in. Because of this, advertisers are pulling all ads off of YouTube, according to the New York Times. After hearing about the potential impact of filter bubbles, researchers at the University of Amsterdam decided to analyze the impact they could have. They found that personalization on news sites are at an infant stage, and most personalized content is not the main source of news for users. They go on to say that if the share of news obtained from personalized sources increases, then we could start to see a problem. Unfortunately, that is exactly what is happening. According to a survey done by the Pew Research Center, over 68% of people in America got at least some of their news from social media. This is up from 62% in 2016. What's really interesting about these numbers is that over 57% believe that the news they would get on social media is largely inaccurate. Why this is so interesting is because they're still reading the news, even knowing that while being tailored and personalized to them, that it is misleading. This shows that people will often not go far enough to try to find opposing viewpoints and things outside of their bubbles, and instead will just read what is in front of them. The University of Amsterdam research suggested that if the amount of news that came from social media websites and other personalized news sources were to rise, then so too were the threats to our democracies. Even when personalization does not form filter bubbles, it can still be used to manipulate you, as in the case with Netflix and House of Cards. Netflix uses statistics to analyze which trailer and content you're more likely to respond to. Because of this, Finn, who writes for the Slate magazine, asks if you like House of Cards because it interests you or because it was marketed to your specific taste in mind. And when personalization does form bubbles, it has the potential to influence the beliefs of users. Most of the time, suggestions to break out of the filter bubbles revolve around seeking out other viewpoints while keeping your own personalization options. In my opinion, it's better to forego the targeted news feeds and helpful suggestions than having to actively search for alternative viewpoints. Technology companies are not currently at a point where news feeds can be personalized and neutral. So for now, avoiding personalization when possible is ideal, because you will not get into a bubble and you will not have to actively seek out, which humans are notoriously bad at doing.